The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Hello.
Howie Gordon, you are comfortably zoned once again. Two Jews.
That feels good.
Yeah, 2 Jews, 3 opinions, and it seems to be working well. You took a trip last week. Where'd you go?
Holy Jesus.
You went to Holy Jesus?
I think now. Let me. Where the fuck was I? Oh, Pittsburgh, PA. I went to Pittsburgh, PA.
A good place. You were born and raised there?
Yeah, I sure was. I saw my brother. That was fun, and a friend of mine. I graduated high school in 1966, and I was part of a group of guys. We were at a club together called the Marquis, and we still have meetings. We still meet.
Huh.
So
cool.
That's been going on forever. And one of us decided to throw himself for his birthday. We're all turning 70 this year. He decided to throw himself a senior's prom, and he guy's been a very successful lawyer. And he put a lot of money into this party. He went out and got a place in Pittsburgh where they didn't let Jews in when we were growing up. Rented out a ballroom there, and invited all of his old friends and his newer friends to come and be at the party. So that's where I was. I wanted to celebrate his life and put on a tuxedo and just have a good night. And we did.
Wow, kind of exciting.
And the Pirates were on a winning streak, so that was a bonus. But no one is expecting.
It's a bonus for the decade when the Pirates are on a winning streak these days.
Oh, cruel fate. Cruel fate. True enough.
The cruel fate of, I don't know what it was. I had a real affinity for him. An old friend of mine, when I was the Topps representative in baseball, I would sign players to minor league contracts. And I signed a player one day, and his dad was sitting in the stands, and I took up a conversation with him. He was Sid Thrift, and it was before Sid Thrift. Sid Thrift was the fellow who instrumented the academy, the baseball academy, for the Kansas City Royals. And he was a lifer, a baseball lifer. Was a scout, worked under Branch Rickey and stuff. And I got to know him a little bit in the 80s, and I communicated with him over the years. And one day I wake up, he takes over the Pittsburgh Pirates. And it was back in the days when he hired Jimmy Leland, and Van Slyke was playing center, Bobby Bonds was playing left. They were very, very exciting days for the Pirates.
Yes.
And I talked to him on the phone. He knows knew I was a Met fan, rest his soul. And I said, I really can't root for you because I'm a Met fan, but I want to wish you the best of luck. He says, just give me a little piece of the root. He says, you don't have to root for me when they play the Mets, but when they play everybody else. So I said, yeah, that's a good way of looking at things. And I now root for my for teams that, my favorite team might be the Mets, but second favorite team, the A's, that kind of thing, the Giants. And the Pirates are up there because I have a number.
Okay, now I have to ask you a question because you sort of, my memory, I'm getting old. I got something is just percolating in there.
Oh.
Sid Thrift.
Right.
Who was the guy that slid across home plate for the winning run in the Atlanta-Pittsburgh game that knocked the Pirates out of the World Series that year?
Boy, but
Sid something.
Sid Bream, I think it was.
Okay, because I heard Sid Thrift and went right there.
Sid should have slud or something like that, or
he had a knee brace on. He was a former Pirate, and that's who came back to beat him.
Yes.
Right. Right.
Sid
Right.
Slud, yes.
Okay, you got the name though. I was lost there.
Well, I have nothing else going on in my mind but old baseball names and
Hey, if you
trivia.
can still pull out the details, be grateful.
I could just so you could pull it out. You get to
Yeah.
be grateful and
Amen.
at our age, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
But so I had an interesting experience, and I won't put any names to it, but a cousin, took a DNA test, and when you take a DNA test and somebody else from that company took a DNA test and you match up really close, they will notify both parties. That's part of the idea. And we had a notification, this is just in the past few days, that shocked the shit out of us in terms of unknown.
When you say us, you mean now you and your wife or something?
No, my cousins, my first cousins, discovered a half brother.
Wow.
Right, and obviously you could imagine the complications that one of the cousins is communicating with the daughter of a gentleman that may be his. She's definitely a cousin, a niece. She's definitely a niece of this, and we're old people, you know.
Yeah, so there's no parents to ask anymore.
And here's the scary part. This is what rocked my boat. I was the firstborn grandchild, all these years in my head and in everybody's head of my grandfather, and it may turn out that I'm not that. So
he had a practice kid before you came along.
Not my grandfather, an uncle of mine.
Oh.
Right, had a kid, and we saw the picture, and he looks just like my grandfather.
Oh, you may have to surrender the throne to him. I mean, you're not. I know,
and it's been an adjustment. I've had 36 hours now to adjust that I wasn't the firstborn male, obviously, not obviously in today's day and age. Doesn't matter. Firstborn grandchild. And it turns out that now I know definitely that I wasn't.
Well, if this was the time of Alexander, you'd have to hire people to root him out and kill him so you could maintain the throne.
It does. Times transcend each other. I could very well do that and not miss a heartbeat. Under these circumstances, Talie looks, are you really upset? And I go, it's not that I'm upset, but it's a lifetime of a mindset of that's has to change.
It's like God pulling out the chair from under you, and it's
on some level. I'm going to live through it, though. See, that's
yes, you will. You're already doing that.
I know just by talking about it, and that I'm not crying while I'm talking about it.
Where do you get my bill for the therapy?
Well, did he have a bill? No, just a regular old nose. Groucho would have said it just like that.
I'm sitting here wiggling my cigar.
It's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. So, what else is new? What do you got going this way? On a typical week, you're a writer. How do you write? Do you make an appointment?
Well, I'll tell you how I write. Here's what happens, because I just explained this to someone, that I write, and it doesn't much matter to me, and this is just a historical perspective. It doesn't really matter to me, I've discovered about myself, whether I'm writing an answer to an email, a letter to a friend, a poem to myself, a short story, a novel. I just need to write, and that satisfies me, and that is something that I do. That's what I do. I write. I don't tell so much, but I write quite a bit. And today, right before this phone call started, I got a note. And here's the note I got. It was a request to be Facebook friends with somebody, and I'll leave the names out. So when I get requests for Facebook, I don't just want to build up the number of people who are my friends. I'm not interested in people who don't speak English. I'm not interested in 20-year-old girls who want me to pay them to send me dirty pictures.
But you are interested in 20-year-old girls that don't speak English.
Nah, not anymore.
No, okay.
I'm retired and monogamous. That really happened. I'm really living that life.
I am too. And I didn't have your background, your illustrious background.
Well, I did give it the office. As I say, been there, done that, got the T-shirt. So,
right. And the memories.
This fellow,
and the memories.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the books.
Yeah.
So this guy wrote me, he wanted to be Facebook friends, and my custom now is I wrote him back. I said, who are you, and why do you want to be Facebook friends with me? And he wrote back, hello, Howie, this is blah, blah. We are friends on Facebook, and you sent me a happy birthday last week on my birthday. I had to open another account because I was temporarily blocked on Facebook and Facebook Messenger because of something I said about the former president of the United States that they felt was inappropriate. Okay, so he answered my question. Already I wrote back, what did you say? And he said, I made a posting of him legalizing same-sex marriage and said that homosexuality was an abomination in the eyes of God and called him a nigger and was temporarily blocked for that. So I had to open another account to talk to you. I am not racist, Howie, but he is what I said he was. He is, in my opinion, just that. He is a disgrace to his own race, yet I feel he did everything in his power to bring down this country. So I answered him, well, I think Obama is one of the best and brightest men who ever lived. I cried with joy the day he got elected, and I cringe when I hear people disparage him the way you just did. I'm just so sad you feel the way you do, and can only wonder where that kind of feeling comes from. Can we be friends? I don't know. It would be one hell of a victory for the human race if we could find and respect each other. You tell me. And he wrote back, I think we can be friends and agree to disagree. I know that everyone has their own opinions, and I would never try to persuade you to see things my way, but I do know that I feel in my heart that Trump is doing a better job than the 4 previous presidents that we have had. He is exposing much of the corruption in the Democratic parties and has been overlooked for years. You are a man of God yourself, and I respect that. But tell me honestly, where do you believe we are headed? And I answered him, to hell, with Trump in the driver's seat. I see him as an immoral man dedicated to his own greed and lust for power. I couldn't disagree more with your assessment of his value to the Republic. He is Mussolini and Hitler in a training bra, and I pray with my total being that we can derail his madness before the dogs of war are unleashed to mask his grasp on power. I remember the story I heard when I once took my young children to the San Francisco Zoo. It was about a rescue program that the zoo had conducted for endangered and injured animals that they had rehabilitated. They had an eagle in the show that was mentally damaged. The eagle had been born into captivity, and the owners that fed the young bird fed him nothing but bologna for the first year or so of its life. Such a diet of meat, in quotes, sustained the bird's life, but caused brain damage for the lack of all the other nutrients necessary for healthy brain development in the animal. I think of that every time I hear people quoting Fox News on television, the propaganda machine of the far-right rich. If people are fed baloney all their lives, we're all in deep shit.
Hey,
so that's what happened right before I called you.
A very, very interesting retort. You mentioned Facebook and how they can indiscriminately take down your messages and suspend you for a week or so if they don't like what you say. Before Barbara Bush passed away, I made some reference to and attached a New York Times report of her reaction at Katrina. And what a skank she was at this point. She was a horrible human being. And her real self came out when she just said that these people deserve it. They should be happy to have a place. And there were no toilets working. it was horrible, and I voiced my opinion. They took it. Facebook took it down and suspended me for a week. So
that seems above and beyond.
Well, that's the way it is. If you get a report, somebody can report to Facebook that your stuff is crude, rude, tattooed, or whatever, and Facebook automatically suspends you if they get that report, and they don't have the capabilities of following each and every one. They said, if you disagree with this, why don't you type in why? But they never answer you, and the week goes up, and you're suspended from putting stuff on other people's groups and what have you if they're not your own groups. I've learned to live with it. That's the way it goes. I try to avoid having it happen, but
well, I do too. I generally try to avoid it because I don't want to be in a bunch of arguments with people who I read this quote. It said, being in an argument with the ignorant is like arguing with a pigeon. Have you heard that analogy? It walks all like playing chess with a pigeon. It struts all over the board and shits wherever it wants and believes it's right, no matter what.
Well, what's the whispering to idiots or something like that? I remember that expression. Why bother? But sometimes you have to make yourself perfectly clear, and it doesn't always help you because if you have the philosophy of saying what's on your mind, you're gonna inadvertently offend people somehow along the way.
I did that this morning. That got me this morning. I just woke up feeling this dread, and I decided I normally don't do this, but I did this on today. I posted on Facebook. Is there a prayer for the president? Normally I'd say no, but in these days I'm willing to make an exception. Here's my prayer. Dear God, fuck him up. The bastard needs his comeuppance. Thank you, Howie.
I was thinking, as you said that, I said, yes, stroke him out, God. Here's a prayer. Please,
I'd rather
for all of us. However, and I will play the devil's advocate to that, Pence.
Yeah. I'd rather deal with him. He's like, Erasmus. When one of my heroes is Erasmus from the 16th century. I think the 16th century was very much like the 1960s were in our lifetime.
Uh-huh.
And Erasmus was generally regarded as the Bob Dylan of his time. Everyone wanted him on their side. He had been the leading critic of the papacy, which was the zenith of power in that era, and prior to the Protestant Reformation. And Erasmus it's a long story, but he was the leading critic of the papacy. So along comes Martin Luther, 1517, the posting of the 95 Visas, the Protestant Reformation kicks in, and Luther writes to Erasmus, "Oh, Holy Father," calling Erasmus that. You are the mind, you are the spirit of our generation. Come and lead the fight. And Erasmus hated Martin Luther because Luther was not a scholar. Erasmus was a scholar. He spent a lifetime in dealing with erudite knowledge and training and scholasticism, and Luther was a peasant who was just sort of a good do-gooder with his idea of faith. And the only reason he survived, well, that's another story. Anyway, he just didn't want any parts of Luther, and he answered him, he said, "I prefer the hell I know to the hell I don't," which is what I'm saying to you about Pence.
Right. No, and in this case,
I can deal with religious zealots because they.
No, I can't because of what they do to feminism and what they do to femininity and how.
Yeah, but that's been going on forever. That's nothing new. The person
we're
I'm
looking
much more
for
afraid
progression.
of Trump.
We're looking for progression, and I don't. Although he's a nasty piece of shit, I don't think he's looking to tell women how they can use their bodies.
I agree with you. I don't disagree with that at all, but I don't think Pence has 1/10 of the larceny or power lust in him. I think he can't win an election, when it comes around. He'll just sort of do what he does for the next 2 years and he's gone. Trump, on the other hand, is dreaming about the end of elections and him being president for life. And
yeah,
he's
but
taken
Ryan already jumped ship, and I think if anyone would stick around, it would be him.
I don't know about
I
that
think
because
he thinks
the moderate
it's like a rat
Republicans
jumping ship. The way
it reminds me it's just another step of all the moderates getting out of the way because they see the wave that's coming. And if you're moderate, you're going out anyway.
Well,
so
do you consider him to be a moderate
compared to Trump? Absolutely.
Okay. Well, yes, compared to Trump.
Trump is a dictator in the making. He's going for the throne. That's where we're headed. And he will keep the game afoot. I mean, this whole war thing we're about to start is just the biggest masquerade in the world. While all this, stay out front of all the waves, make it so they can't take you out. Keep the chaos coming. He thrives in chaos. That's where he lives.
Do you think he's well calculated, or do you think he's just a reactionary?
I don't even know how to evaluate that question. I think he's about greed and lust, and he's demented.
Now I'll ask you this: he's all of those things, but do you think he has enough balls to fire Mueller? And
God, yes, he has enough balls to do anything. This is the guy who does not care. He's at the end of his life, and he's going for the brass ring. What's going to happen? He'll have 2 years off his life? I mean, he's going for it, and he never expected to get this far. He's got nothing to lose.
Right.
And he's the president of the United States now. And the United States could pass away because the truth of the matter is, in the real politic of life and power, who got the army got the power. That's what it's going to come down to.
Do you think there's something in place that if he did something so frickin' rash that it could get us nuked, that people in charge would, the old movies where you have people that are
7 days in May. You're looking at 7 days in May.
7 days in May, right.
Believe me, I've held on to that in the back of my mind. Where is Kirk Douglas when we need him?
Right, come on in. And
can you help us now?
Yeah. Tap him on the shoulder
God
and
forgive me.
Hey,
God
fat
forgive
man.
me.
Tap him on the shoulder, say, fat man, we got a Big Mac for you and a double fry. So I want you to eat this so you're not grumpy when you hear the news. But we're going to have to make some changes. You know why? Because we need to survive as a nation, as a culture.
I mean, see, now you're talking about the big picture. Nations fail all the time. The Roman Republic gave way to the Roman Caesar. And that happened.
Yeah.
And that's where Trump wants to go here. He wants to say they're corrupt. I'm the only one. He's got religious zealots believing he's a fucking Messiah. And it's okay that Trump fucks everybody because God picked him. And it's okay that he breaks all the rules because God picked him.
But that's their answer to that is a religious zealot's answer to everything.
Well, so what? That means he's got following.
Well, with that in mind, imagine how much following Pence would have from these evangelists.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the balls that Trump has. He's not looking to be that. He's still a senator. He's topped out at that. He doesn't have these delusions of that he's Caesar. Trump does.
No, that's true. That's true. But he's more well organized, so that if he like Lyndon Johnson could get shit through Congress, where no one's going to put this stuff through Congress that he has. You just got to take the keys of the car away from him.
Well, that depends on the midterms, because right now the Republicans are fighting them. They're infighting themselves right now. It's a contest between the moderate Republicans who still believe in America and the Trump Republicans who don't. Right. It's the rule of the rich versus this pretense of democracy.
Hey, we've gotten to the point where Romney, who is
he's looking like a good guy compared to Trump.
And this guy would not separate church from state if his life depended on it. And these people are so nuts, like the guy who gets shot, Scalise and what have you. The guy's shot in the hip, and you don't change your political opinion about guns and what have you. You don't. Their ideology sucks, and they're criminal. The system is made up of lobbyists like the NRA that
Well, it's the
enrich
corruption
these people.
aspect. I mean, Trump has proven that there is no morality left in the Republican Party at all.
Yeah.
The fact that they can, all that moral superiority is just disappeared
Well,
with him as the flag bearer.
the truth of the matter is Sally Wasserman Schultz proved the same in the Democratic Party. And,
That's right.
And
That's true.
I voted for, voted, campaigned for, just loved Bernie Sanders in comparison to the others. He certainly had faults. He would have been elected president. There wouldn't have been any of this going on.
I don't know. I was afraid of that because that's another just ride into anti-Semitism for me. That's just a nightmare. Oh no, here come the Jews. They're gonna. I just was afraid for Bernie that he would never have survived it. It wouldn't have happened.
I didn't worry about that so much as I worried about Hillary, because I think she's right down there with the worst. And
that's why we have Trump.
If you want to talk about the Jewish thing, hey, Obama got elected, he was a black man. Kennedy got elected, he was a Catholic. I think when it comes down to it, people vote on their pocketbooks.
That's true.
And that's how Trump got elected in the first place.
Well, I don't even know if he got elected. See, that's how cynical I am.
Right. Of
because
course. It sounds
we're down
realistic.
to the computer age. Somebody just tells you who won the election. There's nobody who's counting the votes. And I can't. I can get my computer to work, let alone tell you how to make it honest. It doesn't seem very complicated to me to stick an app into a computer's memory bank that says for every vote for Hillary, you register 2 for Trump. I mean, that's all going on all the time. They're trying to do that. That's nothing new.
It is a crazy world we live in.
Fucking A.
Hey, Howie, on the word fucking A, it's a good time to end it. I enjoy your company, and I hope this goes on for a long time. It's Howie Rose and Ralph Tyko, 2 Jews, 3 opinions. Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. Next Friday at noon?
Okay, I'll tell you what if you have coming attractions. What I was going to do today, if you were interested, is I have a story about my retirement from organized baseball, which happened around this time years ago, so it'd be an anniversary of it. I was going to perform it for you. It's a relatively short piece, I'd say 5 to 7 minutes.
Would you, if you would be so kind, to do that right now?
Okay. Right now?
Yeah, go for it,
okay.
big guy.
It's called A Baseball Story by Howie Gordon. I was born 2 blocks from the old Forbes Field in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I wore Pirates diapers. There was never any doubt that one day I was going to grow up to play Major League Baseball for the hometown heroes. When I came of Little League age, I was drafted by the Cubs. We couldn't have a Pirates team in our league because all the kids were going to grow up one day to play for the Pirates. It would have made us completely crazy to have a Pirates team. We were the sons of the men who worked in the steel mills and the businesses around them. We took our baseball very seriously. For the boys in the neighborhood, it seemed like adult life offered a choice between the major leagues or working in the steel mills. We learned early how to hit the cutoff man. I was not blessed with the best of bodies. I was the fat kid. I had the largest breasts in the 7th grade, but it didn't matter. Fat guys could play baseball. There were ample precedents. The world champion 1960 Pirates had themselves a rotund catcher named Smokey Burgess and a portly pitcher named Bob Friend. They were my role models. Hell, Babe Ruth, perhaps the greatest baseball player of all time, was a total blimp. And hey, I knew I could play the game. Like every other kid in Pittsburgh, I dreamed of being the sleek Roberto Clemente, but Smokey Burgess was a lot more like it. Hell, I was just happy to be in the game. Not surprisingly, I was also a catcher. Catching was the position reserved for the fat kid. So was the tuba in the band, playing center in football, and fat kids could just forget about basketball altogether. So I became the Cubs catcher. We had a couple of good teams. In my second year, we came up 1 game short of the championship series. I lost that playoff game from my team in the bottom of the last inning against the Giants when I made an error, trying to pick Dickie Rizzo off third base. It was a shame. I had him picked off, too.
Some kids at 12 look like men. Their sexual hormones have already kicked in, and they begin thinking about girls as well as baseball. Sleek, handsome Dickie Rizzo already had the gold chains around his neck and the dark hint of the mustache on his upper lip. I hated him. I watched him prancing and dancing around third base, and I seethed. The score was tied. If we could hold them, it meant extra innings. The Giants, however, sensed the kill. Their bench was up and screaming. I could tell that our pitcher was sweating bullets. A catcher knew these things. Dickie Rizzo danced off third base, way off third base. While he taunted our pitcher, who had just missed the strike zone, I snapped the throw down to third base. I was